The clicking of heels was the only sound on the street. It was that kind of cold suburban night where everything feels just a little too still. No wind, no cars, no voices. Just the echo of her own footsteps bouncing back at her off the pavement. Maria didn't mind it. She was still riding the high from the party, replaying the night in her head, the songs, the people, the faces. She wrapped her silky velvet scarf a little tighter as a soft, ticklish breeze drifted past and kept walking. The party had been at a house just 5 minutes away, so she hadn't bothered with the car. It was late, but the neighborhood windows still glowed faintly, blue and amber rectangles of light that made the street feel less empty than it actually was. If anyone had looked outside at that moment, they would have seen a beautiful woman in a vivid red and black outfit, strolling down the road like she owned it. Her feet hurt. The heels had been digging into her soles all night, and the pavement wasn't forgiving, but she didn't mind that either. Her house was close now. She could see the familiar bluish wood of the sidewalls. They needed a paint job, but that would have to wait. She could see the lights she had left on outside the front door, and she was glad for them. She wouldn't have found her key otherwise. 3 steps up to the porch. Key in the lock. Door open, closed, locked. She always made sure to lock it. She hung her jacket by the door, straightened her long, dark, wavy hair out of her face, and walked through the hallway into the living room. Light from the hallway spilled in, lighting most of the room, except for the 4 corners, one of which sat a big old grandfather clock, the kind that belonged to another era. The house had come furnished. It belonged to an old couple who had moved somewhere warmer, and she had inherited everything, furniture included. She couldn't complain, except for that clock. There was something about it she had never liked. She put her keys and phone on the table, sat down, turned on the TV, and exhaled. 40 minutes later, it was 2 in the morning, and the tiredness had finally caught up with her. She switched everything off and headed for the stairs. At the bottom, she looked up. The light from the neighborhood was filtering in through the glass panel above the front door, throwing a pale, bluish glow across the staircase. It was almost beautiful, but it also meant that above, where the light didn't reach, everything was dark. Living alone would make you notice things like that. The light switch was at the top of the stairs. She started climbing. Her hand ran along the railing. She noticed a chip in her nail polish as her fingers passed over it. Dark red with gold. She had never really liked it on her skin. She made a mental note to change it. Halfway up, she heard something. A sound from behind the wall. Like fabric. No, like something shifting. Like weight. She found the light switch and clicked it. The upstairs hallway flooded with a yellowish, flickering light. She turned around. Nothing. Just the tree outside, pressing its branches against the side of the house. She let out a slow breath and walked to the bathroom. The second floor was simple. Bathroom on the left, bedroom at the end of the hall, and to the right, a closet the original owners had left locked. She had never thought much about it. The letting agent told her the couple had left some personal belongings inside and would collect them eventually. She had forgotten about it almost immediately. She opened the bathroom door and stepped inside. The makeup had to come off before bed, but as she moved toward the mirror, she felt it, a faint draft. She turned toward the big window on the right. It was half open. She stood there for a moment, staring at it. She crossed the room, shut it, and locked it. She told herself she must have forgotten. She turned off the bathroom light and stepped back into the hall. That was when she saw it. At the far end of the hallway, in the dark mouth of the entrance to the locked room, which was now open, stood a tall figure. The light didn't reach it. It was just a shape, a silhouette. Still, she didn't scream. She didn't run. Her body just stopped. She didn't know if her mind was playing tricks on her, but some part of her, the part that had been uneasy since the street, since the window, since the sound behind the wall, that part knew. She turned, slowly, steadily, and walked to her bedroom door. She didn't run, because running meant confirming it was real. She got through the door, put her full weight against it, locked it, and dragged the bed across the floor until it sat flush against the frame. On a normal night, she could barely have moved it. She didn't notice the effort. She dropped onto the mattress, pressed her ear to the door, and listened. 20 minutes. Nothing. She started to breathe again, started to think. Maybe it had been a coat on a hook, a shadow from a passing car. Maybe the door had been open this whole time, and she just never noticed. She almost had herself convinced. Then she heard the footsteps. Slow, deliberate, coming down the hall toward her door, stopping just outside. Then silence. Then coming back. She lived alone. That was the only thought she had, over and over. She lived alone. And now that thought had turned into something else entirely. A cold, quiet fury at herself for ever thinking that was fine. She looked around the room for anything. Her phone was downstairs on the table. No chance of calling anyone. She found a small pair of scissors in the bedside drawer and held them in her fist, knees pulled up to her chest in the corner of the room, her dark hair falling around her like a curtain. The scratching started at the door. Soft at first, then harder. Then it stopped, and the blows began, heavy, rhythmic, purposeful. The frame rattled with each one. She looked at the bedroom window. If whoever was in the hall decided to go back to the bathroom and climb out that window, they could walk along the side roof and reach her window from outside. She would have no warning. She opened the window and looked down. The drop to the lawn was maybe 10 feet. She was terrified of heights. It didn't matter anymore. She climbed out on a narrow side roof, looked down one more time, and jumped. Her feet hit the grass, and she was already running. She didn't look back. She didn't think. She just ran across her front lawn and straight to the neighbor's door, hammering on it with both fists. It was 4 a.m. The neighbors opened the door, confused and frightened. The police arrived 10 minutes later. They found no one in the house. What they found instead was the bedroom door, splintered, gouged with deep slashes, and carved into the wood over and over in jagged letters. One word, repeated like a chant. Hello. And then they opened the locked room. Inside, behind the door the letting agent had told her held the old couple's belongings, pushed behind old covered furniture and thick layers of dust. In the corner, next to the window, was a mattress on the floor. A camping lantern, cans of food, some empty, some not. Clothes folded in the corner. A phone charger plugged into the wall socket. Someone had been living there. The detective on the scene estimated at least 2 weeks. Possibly more. 2 weeks. While she slept. While she showered. While she sat on the sofa and watched television and laughed at something on the screen with no idea that on the other side of that locked door, separated from her by nothing but a thin wall and an old key, someone was listening.